just be quiet for a second while the lag catches up. Okie dokie. Shut up. All we see is the please stand by currently, but I'm just gonna share the link out, and then we're gonna actually start this shit. Ah, shit, that's the stream key.
Hello, Strike.
Hello. I need to find headphones so y'all aren't being picked up by the mic.
Okay, Big Squish.
Okay, podcast link in the podcast link chat.
He's a big squish.
Let's tweet this shit out.
Why?
Holiday pod. You know, I really should have done this beforehand, but whatever. Holiday podcast link. Command A, Command C. Tweet. I really hope
So we are actually broadcasting.
We are physically broadcasting, but we're still on the please wait screen with Megaspell's head on the top of the screen.
We should have it so that it plays music when it does that, rather than
I haven't,
listening to us.
Okay, I haven't worked out all the issues. Hold on.
You haven't worked out all the kinks.
Oh, shit, Ray retrieved that from the wrong account.
How many kinks are there in the production of this?
Too many. Too many. Okay.
I have a microphone. I'm happy.
Really should have done this before starting the stream. Fuck it, we're already like an hour later than I wanted us to do this shit. So sorry for my potty mouth.
Let's just hurry our butts along and do the things so that we can do the things. And then I can go and make videos that I have been wanting to make for like 2 months.
Okay, we've officially transitioned to the podcast opening, so once the lag catches up, I will, there we go. Okay. Welcome, ponies of post-apocalyptia, to the most slapdash thrown together podcast in all of the wasteland. The Rad Meter podcast.
Yeah, we're literally recording on an old radio that used to be a radiation meter. So,
well, according to our in-universe explanation,
you don't have to specify that.
Yeah, I want to.
No, you don't.
I don't know if we're gonna do anything with our in-universe. Anyways, I'm Comic Sans Pony, the lord and master of this domain, I guess. Happy holidays. I really wish I had some like holiday music prepared for the background, but I didn't. Even though I planned this like a couple weeks in advance, like, hey, I have a Sunday off. Let's do a podcast.
Oh, that's right. I wanted to do a holiday podcast today. Whatever.
And then I slept in, and then I couldn't find my headphones, and then
Nobody wanted to do it anyway.
Not true. You're here, aren't you? And
Nobody wanted to be on my podcast.
Oh, you had your own podcast?
I wanted to do a holiday podcast about holidays.
And about the bells in which they jingle.
Oh, yeah. So
your bells jingle.
Art Bun and Strike, you want to introduce yourselves? Even though probably not gonna do this every single podcast because eventually people will know who we are. Hopefully, maybe not.
Maybe not.
So Art Bun, aka Chalkfee.
Chukma, every pony. My name is Chalkfee, and I'm here to be your resident artist and smartass. Have a good day.
But you're a bunny, not a donkey. Can't be a smartass if you're not a donkey.
You're taking my job from me. Stop it taking my
Tell
job.
that to Bugs. Bugs has been a donkey a few times.
Stop taking my job.
And then we have DJ Strike, who is the voice of DJ Pone 3 in our production. And that's all I could manage to get together today.
Well, it is
Yeah,
the
because you decided to record the weekend before Christmas.
It was the weekend before Christmas, all through through NHS. Not a creature was stirring. Oh, what a mess.
Yeah, because I'm only here because I happened to be on my computer and doing things when you reminded me that this existed.
And I've been playing Spyro.
I beat Fallout 4 again. This time with the railroad.
Why not? Why?
Chugga chugga choo choo, motherfucker.
Whatever. I just want to watch people play New California. Honestly.
What the hell? Why am I seeing choo choo, motherfucker?
Whatever. Y'all see nothing.
Why am the podcast dashboard that I'm seeing is like, it says the wrong title.
Episode 3?
Well, no, like the link I shared out says episode 3, but the dashboard doesn't, which is annoying.
The picture says episode 3.
Hearth, Warma, Christmas, Kwanza, Yule, Festivous, AKKAH.
Let me just throw together every holiday. Bacon,
you missed a few. Solstice.
Close enough.
You also missed most of the ones from the show, which are.
I haven't seen Hearthstone.
What is that? What is that called? Smishity Smash. No.
Oh no, it's a.
There's a Smash one, and then there's the one where the dragons all tell stories around campfires because it's.
We don't have to question it. We have technology.
There's a Smash one. We have the technology, and then there's the one where the dragon.
Trying to remember what the name of that episode was.
Huh?
Trying to remember the name of that episode. It was.
It's Hearthwarming Club. I haven't seen that one yet.
You haven't seen most of the season. How long has it been out again? How long has the entire season been done? I say, looking to the side at nothing because we aren't actually in the same room. I'm just staring at a wall, not even my computer screen, because...
Not the same rooms, we're not even in the same states.
Not even the same time zone for some of us.
No, we are all in the same time zone, I'm pretty sure.
Wait, then why did Strike have to plan this thing in Central Time?
I'm in Central Time.
Wait, you are?
Yeah, where I live is literally on the border. Like, if I go one town over, I'm in Eastern Time.
God damn fucking Florida. You know what? One of these days, you're going to become a Florida man. And if you become Florida man...
With the power to send alligators at my enemies. Florida man saves the day.
You get bitten by a radioactive alligator.
Eradicator?
That's honestly completely possible, because there are actually eradicated alligators.
Eradicated.
Eradicated. I'm trying to shoot starfish as sparks right now, so...
Florida man. What are those stories? I want to have breakfast, so I'm going to have it in the middle of the street.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I'm in a small town, so you don't see crazy
Have you ever
out
read
on the
those?
street.
No one's in the street high in bath salts eating people's faces?
Not in Jackson County, at least.
Have you not read Florida Man posts? Because they are great.
Yeah, every time something crazy happens in Florida, it's like, Florida Man does this, so the internet created the persona.
It's because of the way Florida has its news, because they have their news be really open, but you're also not allowed to share people's names.
There's also Florida woman, but there's less posts about her.
So all of these news stories are really, really common, but they're also all called Florida Man.
The only thing I know is that when I made a slight joke to my friend about not the last hurricane. The last hurricane was crazy, but the hurricane before that, they should just, shoot it with guns because that's the southern way to do it. Then I just start seeing posts online of people actually trying to do it.
Not the last hurricane. The hurricane before that was a pussy.
Yeah, the last hurricane was not fun. I'll tell you what, I had my roof fall in.
The last hurricane was not fun. The other hurricanes,
because
they were fun.
Hurricanes are known to be a blast.
Oh,
they're,
yeah,
they're,
we
they're,
have
they're the coolest guy at the
here.
party. They're the coolest guy at the party. They bring the rain and the wind, and they're just fun.
Oh no, there's legitimately. I mean, before the last hurricane, there were hurricane parties and stuff that happened.
Oh, I'm aware. I went to school in Florida. I was never invited to a hurricane party, but I know they existed.
I know.
There's a
before
warm front of fun coming in from the west coast today. And from the north, you'll find a chilly breeze coming from upstairs, however.
Before it got real bad, I mean, I was sitting before the last hurricane jumped from a Category 2 to a Category 4. I was sitting in the living room playing freaking Mario Party with my roommate, and we were listening to Rock You Like a Hurricane.
Rock you like a hurricane. I will not torture you with
See,
any more
there's
names.
been exactly one hurricane in my hometown, and I wasn't even there to see it.
I
least
live in the
That
eastern
I remember.
part, like the northeastern, so we don't really get many like
Yeah,
hurricanes.
you
we usually
live
get
just far enough, because
we get
New York is like the end of where hurricanes really go. They don't go much farther
yeah,
than New York.
we get like the tail end, like the immense amount of rain, but and maybe some winds, but that's really it. No real hurricane-ness. Although a few years ago there was that Franken storm, like the nor'easter hurricane combination with rain, snow, sleet, hail, the whole 9 yards.
I just realized
What?
we're literally talking about the weather.
Okay. Oh no! Oh no! We just spent God knows how long. So we just spent Celestia knows how long talking about the weather.
By the Nine Divines, by Luna, by...
You've got multiple chins because you're old.
So shifting gears, the complete shit show that has been Fallout 76. Thoughts?
Oh,
Why isn't Strike on the podcast picture?
Because you haven't drawn him.
I did. Remember, I had him from the back. He was flipping the audience off.
Oh shit!
Oh, I was?
Wait, do I have that? I might have. Hold
Flipping
on.
people off.
Yeah, because I thought it was funny because I
think-
didn't want to draw you from the front because I didn't have enough space.
Oh, did you find something funny about his OC that the way he has his OC is the female version of his species or something?
Oh, you noticed that?
It's the name. It's the name is technically the female version of the name.
I just, when I was designing it, I couldn't think of a good way to do a single backwards curved horn, so I gave him two. And then, I mean, I was like, well,
That's
it is the female
right.
version, but maybe no one will notice.
That's right. It's the two. That's it. Well, I'm sure you'll have plenty of art of the female version.
Hold on, I gotta open Photoshop. I gotta export a PNG of one including him.
She's
Well,
so cute.
See, though, I will say, once the one with the Kierans came out, I was like, oh, that's a good way to do it. I should probably draw it like that. But then I'm like, wait a minute. I haven't drawn anything in over a year. I can't draw anymore.
You can draw in the first place.
Wait. I thought it was like riding a bicycle. You never forget how to draw.
Well, you do if you weren't good to begin with.
Hey, here's the thing. You know what you forget? You know what isn't like riding a bicycle? Fucking math. Because I'm good at math, right? And when I was a kid, I was literally like a genius at math. You know something? I don't know how to do the shit I used to know how to do.
Well, I'll tell you one
Now
thing.
you're
When
just some problem that I used to know.
When I started doing stuff like trig and all that, the simple math became hard, and they're like, okay, we're doing the cosine tangent, all that stuff, fun stuff. I'm like, okay, I can do this quick. And they're like, all right, now, 6 times 28. I'm like,
Yeah, see, I never learned how to do cosine, sine, all that
You don't have to
bullshit.
do that unless you're dealing with like waveforms.
Because I don't want to learn... See, here's the thing. Here's why I didn't learn that stuff. Legitimately. Because when I took Pre-Calc 2, they didn't let me use a calculator. So I quit. Literally the reason.
You never got to antiderivatives?
No, I just did Pre-Calc 1, which is like just like normal math on steroids. It doesn't have any of the bullshit yet. And then you get to the sine and cosine and pre-calc 2, and then you get to calculus. And I probably could learn calculus, but I don't want to learn sine and cosine.
I was never good at math necessarily, but I remember when I actually like covered some actually decent math that you'd actually use in real life, like dealing with like mortgages and like and that kind of stuff. I like spent days on my Texas Instrument calculator programming a program that would be able to like solve for like annuity mortgage or something like that. It didn't end up in the end. It didn't end up working out. There were too many variables, and the calculator was like, "Fuck you! I'm not powerful enough." But
you know what I spent days doing on my TI calculator? Making a text adventure, and also putting all the notes for my class so that I could cheat.
You know what I did on my TI?
They don't let you bring notes.
Math.
But I could put my notes into the calculator and just look up the notes in the calculator.
What kind of fancy TI calculators did y'all have? Mine only did math.
I think I had a TI 84 or something like that. I don't remember.
One sec.
I have a TI 83. And that's
I have
only
a classic.
My sister...
I have a TI 83.
I have a TI 83 because my sister, one semester in college, she had bought one for herself, but by the end of the year, she somehow had two.
You know what I really need to do? I need to get myself one of those cords where you can download stuff into the calculator, and you know why?
Okay.
Because I want to play Doom.
I'm pretty sure that the Strike.
There's a Doom port for calculator.
Strike, your OC is now in the podcast room.
It is?
Right.
You're in a chair facing away from the audience, but the podcast room is slightly more filled now.
Yeah, there we go. There, now we're not all sitting on the same side. Looking ridiculous.
So, thoughts on Fallout 73 and 76 and
Fallout 73.
It was the game. It was a couple games ago.
They did get to the 70th. What will happen if they get to the 76th mainline Fallout game in like 100 years?
I mean, the likelihood that we haven't just actually gone into a nuclear apocalypse by then.
Well, it depends on whether or not we get a different person as president next year.
Can we not talk politics?
You know what I'm saying?
It does.
Hey, just Cthulhu 2020. Why choose the lesser of two evils?
No, I'm gonna vote DeFranco for 2024.
Oh God. Oh my God. I just realized we might someday see a world where Logan Paul runs for office.
Oh God, no, God, there is no God if that happens.
I will be in a different country. I will be gone.
Could you imagine if like
I don't want to live on this planet
or
anymore.
Something?
It's like I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
And then you go into a different world, the way that Farnsworth does in Futurama.
Or we can just like get on a time machine and go so far in the future we somehow just end up at the same time we're already at, like that other episode of Futurama.
Oh man. Yeah.
I keep wanting to talk about Fallout 76, but you guys keep changing the subject.
Fallout 76. What is there to talk about Fallout 76?
I have played it.
Interesting.
I've played it up to level 20 something. It is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I got it like shortly after its release, played it for a day, and then returned it. And like, fuck this game.
Okay, here's the thing. I haven't played it, and I eventually will. I will play it in like a year's time when it stops being a dumpster fire and it starts just being a smoldering pile of garbage. Because at that point, we can fix it.
Damage doesn't scale and XP doesn't scale.
What I found really annoying was I understand why they charge you to fast travel. It's only a couple caps. But why the fuck are they charging you to fucking fast travel unless you're traveling to your camp or to Vault 76, which you can't go back inside the vault, so why are you fast traveling
Yeah.
there?
Oh. Speaking of the vault, I have a bone to pick with that. So I found another vault, and I thought, okay, sweet. I thought there was no other vaults in this game because this game
There's one at
sucks.
the university, but that's
And
technically not really a vault.
well, I found
I mean,
one. It was like
there's a
vault.
vault experiment going on at the university, but that's really it.
I
Yeah,
found
well,
a
it
vault.
was like a test vault, and then they were like, it was like 0 or -1 or something like that, some bullshit.
Also,
And I think it was referencing that like experiment, like a psychiatric experiment, like or something that happened a while ago.
Oh
like,
my god, that does make sense. It would be like a vault version of the. It would no. I think that might actually be what it was. It was like a vault version of the Stanford prison experiment, except it turned out that it went real. So like all of the people who were running it were students, but then the bombs fell and they had to actually use the goddamn vault.
Okay.
I have two things.
I found the university.
1 sec.
I never went inside, so I wouldn't actually know. I'm just all I know is like they should have had a option to be in like a hardcore, have to keep track of your thirst and disease and hunger and sleep.
It's
mode.
our reoccurring podcast guest, Train. Hi, Train. Train.
Actually, I didn't hear the train. I think I was talking too loud. But
Yeah, no, there's a train. That's why I muted myself. I muted myself for the engine to go by because the engine is the loudest part. The rest kind of a little bit smoother.
well,
And I'm too lazy to get up and close my window.
as I was saying,
Oh my god,
if they
that is the best thing ever. No.
God,
Wait.
can I finish my statement?
Can I finish something though?
It's in the middle
Please?
of something. Fine.
The train had graffiti on it that said "send nudes." That was the best thing ever. I'm sorry I had to say that.
Okay, but like they should have had an option to be in hardcore mode or not. And sure, I understand why everyone is in hardcore mode. It's for balancing and gameplay. So if some people on the server are in hardcore mode, some people aren't, it's unfair. Then have like 2 servers, a hardcore mode server and a I want to just fuck around in a post-nuclear wasteland server and not have to worry about sleep, hunger, disease, and thirst.
You know what else needs to be changed in Fallout 76?
The fact that
Yeah,
it exists.
No, okay. Some of the stuff is really cool that they had in it, but like, okay, the way they did it was dumb and just. If they can just make it so that it has, like, if they could just give us personal servers and allow us to mod, it'll be fixed in like a month. You know that, right?
I have
Hello?
two things that were brought up that I wanted to mention about. You talked about the vaults. Firstly, I found, like I was saying, I found 2 vaults. I cannot go into either of them because they put those in the game and they don't have a way to actually get into them. It's going to come later, and it just says, "Oh,
Then what's the
later."
point?
There is no point. It just says,
So
"Oh, you
they're
need this."
like what, special event quest or something?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I'm just now imagining that it, like a version of it where it just goes, "You have not downloaded this DLC. If you would like to go into the vault, please deposit 500
Or please
Atom points."
Please pay 10,000 Atom.
That's probably what's
that
going to
would
happen.
be $100. That would be a lot for that kind of size DLC. It would probably be.
Speaking of the
1,000
in-game
Atom.
currency, remember when people were like pissed off that the supposedly nylon bag, the supposedly like canvas bag was actually nylon, and
Yeah.
to try to stem the tide of angry consumers.
No, that was to
they're
get
like,
people
they're
to not be able to sue them.
like, here, have 500 Atom, the equivalent of $5
$5.
in-game
Yep.
currency. Which
And
by the way, the Xbox exclusive like pre-order perk was 500 Atom. So it's like,
Secondly, though, I will say the other thing you brought up was that school. that freaking Vault-Tec school,
University, Vault-Tec U.
which Vault-Tec U is the stupidest thing I've seen. That just kind of destroys part. I mean, I have to take in the fact that this game is not lore friendly, but the fact that there's a
because the
universe.
Brotherhood of Steel should not exist yet.
Yeah.
There's Brotherhood of Steel in there?
Apparently,
Yep.
and I mean,
I found them.
You could make arguments for the Enclave because in West Virginia there actually is the government bunker or whatever. So maybe not all of the Enclave people made it to their oil platform off the West Coast. So maybe there could be some bit of Enclave.
You know
there,
what's sad?
But the Brotherhood of Steel, they I don't know the exact bit of lore where they actually come back into the wasteland.
No, they were there were actually two Brotherhood of Steel things, and there was they weren't called the same thing, but for a portion of time there was actually like a thing on the East Coast that was spawned in the same way as the one on the West Coast, and they kind of combined the way the
no, okay, you're talking about Lion's Pride from Fallout 3, because the Brotherhood of Steel, which I don't know all the lore. I'm an expert in Fallout Equestria lore, but not necessarily Fallout lore. That's why I have DCP.
Not an expert.
I know a lot. I've actually gone through Project Horizons twice, so which a lot of people can't even say they've gone through it once.
I haven't.
True, but that's because it didn't have an audiobook form finished for the longest ass time. Yeah, but still.
Shout out to Visual Pony. He changed his channel to like Pony and Wolf Productions or something. Anyways.
Aw, Visual Pony, the narrator. I like that.
Because he and his girlfriend are now working on the channel together, so they changed the name. Anyways,
but what was the thing I was saying?
Anyways, as I was saying, I'm not an expert in Fallout lore. That's why I have DCP to kind of help me convert Fallout lore to Fallout Equestria lore. But anyways, from my basic understanding, the Brotherhood of Steel was founded by a group of people who were set to guard the Mariposa facility, and when they found out about the experiments that were going on, they killed the scientists and even made a broadcast saying they were like defecting from they're deserting from the army, and they were kind of or whatever, but no one heard the broadcast because the Great War had already happened and everyone was dead or in vaults.
Yeah, it was right at the same time, and then they went and they took over.
And they traveled to a bunker where they lived for a number of years before coming back into the wasteland as the Brotherhood of Steel. And then Lion's Pride was a group of individuals who wanted to established a Brotherhood of Steel base out east, and so they traveled across country. But then Elder Lions had different ideals than the West Coast Brotherhood, causing the Brotherhood Outcast in Fallout 3 to be the more like actual traditionalist Brotherhood of Steel. But then come Fallout 4, things and stuff had happened, and the Lions had died, and so did his daughter, and so Maxon from Fallout 4 became the leader, and he had a sort of melding of the ideals of both the East Coast and West Coast. Like,
here's something I really want.
Definitely an asshole.
And so like he'll let Wastelanders into the Brotherhood of Steel, which the West Coast doesn't usually do. But he still has enough of the ideals of the West Coast to rekindle a relationship with them and bring back in the outcasts into the fold, or whatever. But anyways,
you know something?
Yeah, that's basically what I know about the Brotherhood of Steel.
You know what's sad and what I expect to be true, but I don't know for sure if it's true?
What? I feel like I need to stop yelling during these podcasts. I feel like I'm constantly yelling.
You're gonna hurt your voice.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not a voice actor. I was gonna play a character in episode 2 of our series, and I'm like, fuck it, I suck at voice acting, and gave it to Looney.
Oh, hi, I'm the Looney Turtle.
He's not here today. Please don't try to mimic Looney. Please do not impersonate Looney, Chalkfeet.
I'm a rabbit. Me and the turtle have a natural enemy.
A long-standing
Animosity.
rivalry. It was documented in a book called The Tortoise and the Hare.
You know, that's a true story too. Except in the real version, I win, but only barely.
Was there actually somebody like they actually did like a experiment with a tortoise and a hare, and it actually ended up with the tortoise winning?
There are some really fast like turtles and tortoises out there. Like,
All I know
my
is
goodness.
that I beat Looney when we raced.
Oh yeah, I didn't vlog that, but you guys raced at a BronyCon.
Yeah, and I won, but only barely. Because I actually stopped to rest near the end, and then I saw him coming around, going like past me, so I had to hurry up and get down the slide. And God, I hate the noise of those canvases, and I scraped skin off of one of my ankle bones. Yeah, that thing was awful. Like, Looney hurt his arm or leg or something, like slipping between them.
Of BronyCon, Nuclear Horseman Studios has submitted both a panel and vendor hall application. I don't know if either will get approved, but
if it's a vendor hall, I'm gonna be sitting there for like half of the con probably. So yay!
We'll probably take shifts.
Yeah. We'll get Strike to do most of it.
No.
Hey.
I
must go to the gala this time. I didn't bring a suit last time, but I have a suit.
You have a suit?
Yes.
Why are you bringing a suit?
Because I like to look nice, and there's a gala usually.
Yeah,
and I missed it last time.
And I went last year. It was not that interesting, actually.
The Triple G is basically it's
I'm
kind of
I'm gonna repeat your what is that word?
What?
It's like argument, complaint. I'm gonna repeat your complaint, comic.
What?
There wasn't food.
Yeah, you'd think a gala would have food, but no, it's kind of like a live action roleplay, kind of like a LARP kind of event, because you have to either be in formal wear, military fatigues, or cosplay.
Formal cosplay. I was in formal cosplay because I had a trench coat.
Or a fursuit. A lot of people show up to that gala in fursuits. And basically,
you know what happened last year?
And basically, there's a bunch of people playing the main six, and maybe occasionally Discord or Spike or Derpy or whatever. They go through like the gala where the thing is something goes wrong every year. And they do this at multiple conventions, I think, because I think they also go to like they go to the one in Florida. They go to I've seen them at a few other conventions. Not that I've gone to, but I saw footage of it. I only go to BronyCon.
And soon you'll have to go either go to whatever daughter con is gonna start, which I now fully expect to happen, is like a smaller con that is based around that one character who isn't doing it.
Huh?
Because you remember the end where whatever. Oh, that's right. You didn't stay for the skit.
I didn't stay for closing ceremonies.
Closing ceremony where at the end, literally the entire several thousand people started breaking out crying.
Yeah, I found out that BronyCon was ending on the drive back, and we actually stopped at a rest stop, encountered a few other people who had left early from BronyCon who also didn't know the news, and shared it with them. That was interesting.
Oh God!
I was sitting in the airport when I found out.
Yeah, but no, me and and Zaldin and the other two people, we were all sitting there in the middle of the crowd. And right as the skit was I was like, oh shit, this is the last one, because of the way they said it. And I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna be the last one. And then it happened. I didn't say it, obviously, because I didn't want to say that. But it happened, and it was awful, because literally by the end, everybody was crying. I was crying, all the other people next to us were crying, they were crying.
'Cause it's
And
the end of an era. Because BronyCon was
it was the first.
It
It
It was
was
the first real ones.
it was the first true like convention. There were other meetups. I'm pretty sure, but it was like
There were meetups. It was the first real convention.
yeah, it was like
It was like
Purple Tinker just got like from paying from her like her own money, like barely breaking even the first couple of years, like ran
They did it in New
BronyCon
York the first few years.
in New York, and it was twice a year back then.
If I
There was like a
had
summer and a winter
been-
one or something like that.
if I had been a brony before, like, here's the thing, I had heard about bronies the year it came out, right? Because I had a friend, I was like, oh, I'm a furry, and they're like, I'm a brony, and I'm like, wait, brownie, are you a fairy? Anyway, no, because I had been reading what's that, some book about fairies, and brownies are a type of fairy. Anyway.
They are delicious as well.
Brownies are like what boggarts are. So a boggart. Well, in that version, brownies are boggarts that are good. Boggarts are brownies that turn bad because you don't give them, the milk for the house hop, that sort of stuff. Anyway, so I lived in New York at the time when BronyCon was in. Because I was there, I just had no idea it was happening.
Yeah.
I didn't learn about My Little Pony until like 3 years later in my second year of high school. Because I know I wasn't in my first year of high school, because goddamn, I would have been picked on more. Because I wasn't picked on, I just was ignored most of the time because I just sat in the back of the classroom and played blackjack because I was done with my math homework.
Okay, so I think it was I want to say it was like my second year of high school is when it came out. But by my fourth year of high school in 2013, I occasionally hung out with friends in the lunchroom that were really like were big into My Little Pony, like to the point where they were oddly enough not made fun of for this, but they would actually wear like My Little Pony t-shirts to school. And even my best friend, Cool Man Stan, that's not his real name, that's his OC name, but anyways, even he was casually interested in it because he had a young sister at the time, so he would watch it with her, but he was still interested in the show enough to manage to convince me to put it on my ever-expanding list of shows to watch eventually. However, I did not start watching it until I got really bored while in college back, I think, in the middle of season 4. I actually have the day documented because back then I was a daily vlogger before it got ruined by the Viner invasion.
That's so dumb.
So I actually have there's a vlog on the channel Sunshine Shade if you want to go check it out. It's
How many goddamn channels do you have?
Way too many. This one's a dead channel. This one's a dead channel.
But several of them are. Some of them are mostly dead channels.
If you want to go,
including your main one.
Shut up. My editor for my pony channel is actually editing a review, so I should have a review by the new year.
This was funny to me. I was talking with Cool Man yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, hello, person." I was just talking about how I met you, right? And so I met you in a Fallout Equestria thing.
Yeah, but,
and I was like,
anyway,
I was like,
"Can I back to my?" Yeah, fine. Finish.
And I was like, "Hello, person that I know that I have seen on YouTube," and you're like, "Oh, you watch my things?" No. Because I had never seen a single video on your channel before. Never. I had only ever seen you in collabs. But still.
But I was like... I had very few collabs that were outside my channel back then.
I'd only ever seen you in, like, the really big collabs, you know what I mean? Where, like, they got, like, 50 people working on them.
I was supposed to be in, like, in the Rift's Party Most Foul thing. Yeah, I was even supposed to edit it, and there was, like, a joke about me being the editor or something like that, like a meta joke kind of thing. With like maybe it was Comic Sans, and it's like then that guy would kind of like freeze frame, like I'm the editor. I'm too busy to even be at this party. How could I have done it? They kept the joke in kind of because they didn't want to re-script it when I had to drop out as editor. they wanted things that I wasn't capable of doing as an editor. I wasn't skilled enough, and so I just drop out. Also, I was too busy. But
I'm not skilled enough to do any editing.
They kept in like maybe it was Comic Sans, but then they kind of turned it into an Undertale joke, which I guess is pretty easy. But anyways, so I got back to what I was saying about becoming a brony. I got bored one time during college when it was a relatively slow period of my career in college, when I didn't have too many friends to hang out with. And I just started watching My Little Pony, like, I'll check this out. I'm like, okay, I'm 1 season in. Okay, this is pretty good. 2 seasons in, like, I'm actually enjoying the show. 3 seasons, fuck, I'm a brony.
Because I know I got into it before the Twilight Princess stuff.
I got into
so I know
it was in the middle of season 4 when I got into brony, about My Little Pony, and I think I officially would consider myself a brony after seeing the fan animation It's Okay to Be Different. I didn't. It wasn't. Usually people have a certain episode where like, okay, I'm a brony, or a certain threshold. I've seen all the seasons. I guess I'm a brony kind of thing. But for me, I think when I started looking into fan content is when I became an actual like
see,
okay,
I'm a brony. I really liked all the fan content that I saw, but the thing is, I didn't consider myself a brony until I saw stuff from the analysis community. Because that's the community that I liked. And that's the thing.
It's sad that the first person I started watching was probably KP.
She was already like really popular at that point.
I will say that, and I've said this before, and it's a somewhat publicly known fact about me, is I was at one point on Team KP for all of 1 month. It's
was
funny.
Pretty quick.
No, I didn't get like fired. I quit. Not because of any of the issues that anyone has had during the whole KP drama, but basically, I realized from editing for KP, which is kind of funny because I now have an editor of my own, that I would rather edit my own videos than someone else's.
Yeah.
But also you can see that being an editor for KP, even if it was for 1 month, kind of left a bit of a mark on my channel. Videos from before I was her editor were just a regular review. They were actually that had less jokes in them. They also were poorly edited and had a Pony Creator OC. But then
I had exactly one video with a Pony Creator OC. It was awful.
But then videos after, not only did I find my original OC artist on Team KP, another person who left Team KP shortly after I joined, but after I also started including like the reference humor jokes where like you make a reference to certain clips. I even for a time used the exact same reference jokes until I eventually found my own to make.
You found your own?
KP would reference like certain clips, like certain reference jokes, like of course,
Mark.
and certain other very common like nostalgia critic-esque reference jokes. Then I started referencing more obscure things, like well, not necessarily more obscure,
This
but less
is bullshit. I'm fed up with it all. I'm through with this world.
I think for a time I had this thing where I would purposely mispronounce certain creators of the comic books, and then I would be corrected by either the collab partner or Text Hyper, another like the disembodied. Text
Hyper is the most ridiculous character.
The disembodied. No, that would be Jet Fever. Anyways,
Who's the most ridiculous character on your channel? For me, that would have to be that one shadow character I used to introduce a video that never got referenced ever again.
Anyways, but then then I started I would mispronounce the name. They would correct me, and then I would say the scrub. Not the scrubs. The I think I would. It was what was it? Psych. like I've heard it both ways, and then agree to disagree. Only to later realize I actually was unintentionally mispronouncing some of the creators' names. But anyways, I stopped that joke because it was unfunny. But turning it back to Nuclear Horseman Studios production, because this is not a podcast about Comic Sans Pony and My Two Bits. This is about it's supposed to be about the holidays. If you look at the title, Happy Hearthwarma Christmas Kwanza Yule Festivous AKKAH.
Happy solstice.
I don't know any songs for most of these.
Yule songs?
I don't know any Yule songs.
Good old Yule songs where we sing about Odin on his magnificent...
Wait. Yule and the solstice aren't the same thing?
No, solstice is the, like, the darkest day of the year.
You're supposed to light the Yule log to keep the
Yule
spirits
starts... Okay, 1, Yule starts at solstice. 2, Christmas is related to Yule. So it's like... It goes down. It's like... Solstice is like the... It's a sort of... There's a modern solstice and then the original solstice stuff. And then solstice is what started Yule.
Okay, and
It's the first day of
the
Yule.
The person who's been commenting, I have been noticing you. I just haven't found a time to mention it.
Notice me, senpai.
Technically,
the crosser. He said first something about food sounds like a lot of cooking to me. But then
God damn it, I'm hungry now.
Then he mentioned something about when we mentioned like the Viner invasion, freaking vines. They never made sense to me. And then now he's talking about Yule. It's a pagan holiday. Yes. We're aware.
Yule is a pagan holiday. So is
technically every other holiday that's not a Christian holiday is pagan, because pagan means non-Christian.
No. Pagan.
I mean, Hanukkah is not a pagan holiday since
pagan doesn't. Pagan mean.
Okay, speak.
Pagan means polytheistic.
Hanukkah is not a pagan holiday. Yeah. Hanukkah is a Jewish holiday, and because Jewishness, Hebrews were the first monotheistic religion. Jesus was
not
Jewish.
Really.
Let's not talk religion, though.
I mean, no. The first monotheistic religion is Zoroastrianism, which is sort of anyway.
Oh, it's a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main world religions.
Anyways,
pagan is multi-gods. Okay.
And
I just read the definition.
Awkward silence is awkward.
Just can we move on from that?
Yes.
Anyway.
Don we now our gay apparel. Fa la la. I like how words have different meanings now. Like, I sing old songs a lot because I like old music, but people give you some weird looks when you start just using the word gay and not meaning homosexual.
Okay. I don't want to censor our podcast, so to speak, but we probably should steer away from religion, politics.
But religion is the best topic.
And
we could have a whole podcast about religion.
I will say that the funny thing. So there's this great Jewish comedy musician who was one of my mom's exes before she met my dad.
Okay, do you and like? Here's a question: do you and Cool Man just know all the goddamn musicians in the world? Like, fuck.
Apparently, no.
Speaking of Hanukkah,
Kuhlman is a musician. His parents, both his actual and his stepfather, are musicians, and all that kind of stuff. Like he comes from a bit of a musical family, so there's this. He's part of. His name is Sean Altman, the Jewish comedy musician. And his band is Jewmongous, or Sean Altman's Jewmongous. He keeps changing how it's presented, whether it's he's part of the band or it's his. Anyways, he has a most recent album that he released. I think he maybe has something more recent, but was the Least Jewy Jew in Jewville, and in that album is a great song called the Hanukkah Miracle. I wanted to make a PMV about this during Hanukkah, but then I lost motivation for it.
Yeah, I remember that.
But basically, the thing is, like, it's kind of like a joke on, like, the miracle of Hanukkah wasn't that the candle stayed lit for 8 days on 1 day of oil. No. The miracle of Hanukkah was if you're Jewish enough, devout Jewish enough, things last. You say L's, please. Anyways, things last for 8 times as long or increased by a factor of 8. The crosser in the comments, he spelled Hanukkah incorrectly, and I gave him a spelling that I prefer, Hannukkah. And he's like,
not Chanukah.
And he's like, sorry, my bad. No, but there are 8 accepted spellings of Hanukkah, and it's funny because in that song that I mentioned, he said there's a line about 8 alternate spellings are accepted. I think one spelling would be expected, but 8 alternate spellings are accepted, because there's versions with 1 N, 2 N's, 1 K, 2 K. And all of those versions with a CH. So spelling of Hanukkah is very weird because it's transliterated from Hebrew. What the fuck was that? Because the sounds are translated from the Hebrew pronunciation to English, and there is no accurate English letter for
phlegm,
basically. So to answer the crossover question, so there's Hanukkah, Hannukkah, I'm not gonna go through all of them. But basically, you can have it with 1 N, 2 N's, 1 K, 2 K, 1 N, 1 K, 2 N's, 2 K's, and then all those with a CH. And I think that's actually more than 8 spellings.
I will also say my computer at some point, actually, after I looked up the definition of the word pagan, my computer froze.
Fun. How are you still in the call then if your computer froze?
I have no clue, but I have no control over my computer right now.
And yes, the crosser, it is quite complicated.
I have to go.
You have to go? We just got 6. We just got 6 people watching.
My mom needs me.
Will you be back?
Maybe.
Okie dokie. Art Bun is gonna go hop off and do something.
I'm gonna ride this train until my computer completely crashes.
Fun. I might have to prop this podcast up all by myself then if you actually leave the call.
That should be good. I mean, nothing crazy is happening. It's not like the one time when I was watching a video and it freaked me out because it glitched and just went like really loud, and I thought it was a part of the video, and then I just look and everything is just screwed up on the screen. I was like, oh, okay. This is life now.
Ooh, wow. I've had a troubled history with hard drives. I'm not going to recount it now because there's a podcast on yet another channel of mine that it's a sort of defunct podcast, but there's a whole episode where I just discuss my troubled history with computers and hard drives. Because fun fact, just the moral of my history with hard drives is apparently a laptop is not supposed to be used, at least constantly, on one's lap. I know it seems counterintuitive, but if you don't have a solid state hard drive and you're using a computer on your laptop on your lap, it can mess with the hard disk and like make it not work.
Oh, I didn't know that. Because I just know it gets really, really hot.
Well, yeah. There's that part of it, but because if you're constantly moving around, it can cause an issue with the writing of the hard disk and can cause your hard drive to crash. So, fun fact, like I said, if you have a laptop, you probably shouldn't use it on your lap constantly, despite its name.
That's false advertising.
Not really. You can still use it on your lap. It's just you need a more stable way to have. You can't be constantly moving around, and or whatever. So like get like a lap desk or something.
Y'all were talking about how y'all got into the fandom. I have a very weird history with the fandom.
Ooh.
Because
Do tell.
because it started out, just kind of, you'd hear about it, and I was always like, why the hell do people like this show for girls? Like most people were. But then I have a friend who's a huge Borderlands fan.
Borderlands
and so
pretty good. I wanted Borderlands 3, but
yeah, I've played bits and pieces of it. I usually just play it with friends because that's the most fun way to play it.
Just before the side tangent ends, Borderlands 1 is kind of boring because it was Gearbox's last ditch effort to make a game before possibly going bankrupt, and then it was a roaring success. Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel are a lot better. Anyways, side tangent over. Back to your story.
And so my friend would quote Borderlands 2 a lot. And the one he would quote a lot was the Handsome Jack bit about getting a pony made of diamonds. Yes, butt stallion.
That totally is not rarity as a crystal pony. Nope, not at all.
Yeah. But because he kept quoting that, we started calling him Brony to mess with him.
Okay.
And he's not a brony at all, and he still isn't now. But we messed with him about that, and so anyway, we messed about that for years. And then one time, my sister and her boyfriend were in a Goodwill, and I saw a backpack that had Rainbow Dash on it, and I was just like pointing at my sister's girlfriend. I'm like, man, here's you something right now, make you look cool whenever you go to school. And he's just like, oh yeah, that's awesome, Rainbow Dash. I was like, I'm thinking, oh, is he joking? But no, he was completely serious because him and my sister loved the show, my older sister. And so I just started like kind of being curious about it. And then what really started, the two things that really started was one was animated James's videos with the Sonic stuff because I was super into Sonic.
Speaking of Sonic, shout out to Anthony C, who released a really long video, like 44 minutes on Sonic, but it's so entertaining that you don't realize that it's 44 minutes.
I haven't seen it. What about Sonic is it about?
It's called what should we do with Sonic, or what would it's a 44-minute video essay that it's actually really interesting. You should go watch it. Anyways, back to your story.
But yeah, so I started watching those, and I just kind of got used to seeing the ponies in more places. And then one day I come to the living room, my sister's sitting there, and she's watching that episode. I can't remember what it was called, but it was the one with Philomena, the Celestius.
Bird in the Hoof?
Yeah, Bird in the Hoof. And I was like, you know what?
It's called?
Yeah, I think so. But I was like, you know what? My sister's here. She's watching it. I'll just sit and watch it with her. Just to spend some quality sibling time. And I sat down, and it legitimately made me laugh. The part when the bird, bursts into ashes, and Fluttershy starts freaking out. And I give a lot of respect to any media that can make me physically laugh, because I always I laugh internally, but very rarely can something make me laugh out loud in like a movie or a show or something. So then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get caught up so I can watch the show with her. And I ended up just watching the entirety of the show up to season 4, which was all that was out then. And I was like, well, damn it.
I like My Little Pony. I even basically dragged Coolman Stan further into the fandom. He was a casual viewer, but now he's still 3 seasons behind, but he's definitely more into the fandom than he was when he convinced me to watch the show. Turns out a lot of my friends were bronies. There's the one or two that I was kind of loose acquaintances with that were really big into it when I was in high school. There was my best friend Coolman, and then turns out another one of my friends who goes by Pinkamina666.
What a name.
Yeah. He's a mainly a fan fiction writer. Some clop, some not. But anyways, turns out another one of my friends, like he didn't know I was a brony. I didn't know he was a brony until he was like really open about it on Facebook, like changing his profile picture to Nightmare Moon or something like that, and posting pony art to his Facebook. Nothing inappropriate, but still like actually like actively sharing that he was a brony on like his social media. I'm like, oh hey, you're a brony.
Yeah,
Okay.
Lost my train of thought there.
Okay. You were mentioning that your sister was watching the show. You laughed at it, and that's why you liked it.
Oh yeah, no, that
was it.
story was
that
done.
was your whole story. And that's how Equestria was made.
Yes.
Maybe next time you'll share with us how you came into the fandom. Anyways.
Oh, how I came into the fandom? That was me. Let's see. I started watching more of like the animated, but then I think the first
I was making a joke because
I know
I said that's how Equestria is made, and maybe next time I'll share my Cutie Mark story.
I
was making a reference to Pinkie Pie.
I don't have one of those.
Your Yossi doesn't have a Cutie Mark.
I have brands. I like the brands.
Okay, so since you guys are talking about how you got into the fandom, what advice would you give to those who are interested in joining and or now analyzing it? Oh, okay, I read that wrong for a second there. Well, as someone who has a connective continuity on their main channel, which is not this channel, this channel has its own sort of pseudo-continuity if we really wanted to get into that. Don't do connective continuity. It's really difficult to maintain. Don't know why I did it or why I'm continuing to do it, but I'm not dropping it now. But also, try to be unique and find your own voice. Don't just mimic what you see.
And don't procrastinate, because I'm still in the process of procrastinating, and I only have like 2 videos.
Yeah, don't. I mean, well, it took me like 6 months to get 2 videos. I got 2 videos out and done this past year, and well, I didn't do them. My editor edited them because I now have an editor. But if you don't have an editor, don't procrastinate. That was a big issue, which is why I got an editor, and then I still procrastinate on getting my editor the stuff to edit. So having an editor didn't change anything. Let's see. Have a unique OC. I mean, ponies are very common and they kind of blend in, says the guy who is a pony. But I mean, I chose to have a broken horn. At the time, that was pretty unique. I say at the time because there are more unique. There are more unique creatures within My Little Pony now that you can be. You can be a hippogriff. You can
a Kieran.
You can be a Kieran. You could be either a pre-Reformation or post-Reformation changeling. You could be a yak. I don't know why you'd want to be a yak. I'm just kidding. You can. I don't know. Yaks are a little annoying in the show as far as I'm concerned. But
Yona's great.
You can be a yak. You could be a dragon. You could be. You could even go into mythology and just create and find a mythological creature that you like Strike over here, who's not a canon creature, but he still managed.
What it looks like.
Yeah, he still managed to My Little Ponify it, so it looks like it could fit in My Little Pony based on some of the artwork he sent me, because Chalkfy needed to draw his pose for this podcast.
Yeah, thankfully because I made a design and I asked online, I'm like, hey, I need help with making this, like on the MLP forum, and then someone helped me with the design, and I just kind of gave it my own touch from that, and then I was like, well, I kind of want some vectors, but I have no clue how to make vectors, and then I tried to get commission from what's his name, the Oblivion Fall. He said, Oblivion Fall. It's one of those animators, but he does commissions where he does like 100 of them for like 100 or so, or It's pretty cheap. It's like
On the-
100 for like $100 or
Okay,
something.
On the note of your OC, if you don't have the money to commission art, it is perfectly okay to use Pony Creator. There's a weird stigma against using Pony Creator, but if you really don't have the money and you're just starting out, you could use Pony Creator. Sure, that limits you to Earth Pony, Unicorn, Pegasus, and possibly Alicorn, and has some pretty outlandish designs you can make. However, if that's all you can do, that's all you can do. You can then use the Pony Creator model you have to then later, when you have the money, commission the poses and such. Like, my character is based off of a Pony Creator model because one of the options was a broken horn. That's why I got my uniqueness as a broken horn, because it was like, ooh, I can be a unicorn that's really sucky at magic because his freaking horn is broken. Okay, why is it broken? Then I have this convoluted backstory about why it's broken. I'm not going to get into it. We'd be here all day.
See, with me, like, I drew a pony, and I looked at it, I'm like, this is boring. I'm not going to want to do anything with it, because I would just be bored of having to draw this thing again. Because it was just literally just a gray and yellow Pegasus.
Alternatively, if you actually know how to do art, you can draw your own poses.
That too. I can sketch. I can't do anything that I would ever put in a video.
I mean, if what's his name, the Cartoon Gentleman or something like that, or he's a recent addition to the Analysis Rift. Like, he just draws sketches, takes a picture of that, and that's how he makes his videos. I mean, it's a unique style. I mean, not the first person to do that. I don't know why she stopped making videos, but Doodle Dabble did that. Like a sketchbook idea. She's drawing her OC in a notebook and doing analysis that way. You find your own unique voice and unique way of presenting videos and such and such and such and such. And I think we should move on to the next topic because I wanted to talk with Chalkfee about the final designs of Megaspell, but he decided to bounce off somewhere. So
and help his mother.
Yes, but because we have official designs of Megaspell, the way she's presented currently in the studio would actually be incorrect. The side she's showing the audience in the picture, which is flipped from the original art of this picture, would be a side that actually has her cutie mark. She's only missing it on one side now. We officially decided that. Megaspell, for those who are just coming to this channel for the first time and haven't been on any other podcasts, we haven't really done much with her. But Megaspell is the official mascot of Nuclear Horseman Studios. Within the backstory, she was a janitor at the studio that our in-universe counterparts are working out of, the Warner Mares Studios. And in my version of Applewood Equestria, long story short, a Megaspell went off nearby, and she didn't realize that it happened because she was so used to, like, Megaspell evacuation drills, she kind of just ignored it. Until it was too late, and she already became a ghoul, and because of her close proximity and some weird warping of her special talent by the Biofire radiation, she became a glowing ghoul, not only one that can project energy like most glowing ghouls, but she can also absorb the energy, the radiation in a room, and she basically scrubbed the entire studio lot of any radiation and took it all inside herself, which is why she's a glowing ghoul. Anyways, we made final designs of her because I commissioned a plushie of her.
Oh, nice. I got a plushie recently that I commissioned a few months back.
I'm hoping it can be done by BronyCon, and I can have it, if we get approved for our application, I can have it at our booth, and she can get boops from passerbyers, but, so because of, even though for the most part she is, the art of her is pretty symmetrical, like Chalkfee...
Whoops, wrong chat.
Chalkfee openly decided, okay, I'm gonna be lazy and I'm just gonna flip her around and just change some things on one side and not on the other. So she is, for the most part, symmetrical in that aspect, but she's asymmetrical, and the damage and missing parts of her skin are different on either side. On one side, she's like missing her cutie mark and all this, and her ear is damaged. But on the other side, she still has her cutie mark and is actually more intact. So I had to have this art created so I could send it to the plushie artist. And so, as a consequence of that, we actually designed her cutie mark both before and after she became a ghoul, because it did change slightly. And she has a different left and right side. Her right side still has a cutie mark, her left side does not. We have no consensus on how that happened. Chokfi's idea was that was the side that was exposed to more radiation, so it kind of started decaying more before the ghoulification mutation occurred. My explanation, and sort of a funny little jab at certain meta aspects of our production, since everybody who's part of NHS has an in-universe counterpart for this kind of thing, the voice actor for Megaspell is going to be, when we actually use her for videos, is going to be Starry Flame. So the joke being, in context of Fallout Equestria, the Starry Flame character for NHS, Megaspell is terrified of her. Because when they first encountered her, Starry Flame open-fired on the ghoul, and so the damage on her left side is from, like, minigun fire or something. I just found it funny in general to have the person who's technically the voice actor for Megaspell, to have the character of Megaspell be afraid of her.
I like it.
And so my idea is that the damage was caused by by minigun fire, but that doesn't actually make sense in the context of a ghoul, because if anything that exists as their ghoulified form, if it gets further damaged, they can technically heal it, but the initial damage caused by the radiation and the necrosis of the skin doesn't typically heal. But anyways, we have certain creations of our own regarding the lore around ghouls and glowing ghouls to allow us to have an adorable ghoul mascot that can compete with the likes of Ghoul Derpy.
You'll never do any worse than I did the one time I attempted to write a fanfic.
Well, because Chokfi wanted to make her still be cute, but also be a rotting corpse, which is a very hard thing to do. He kept a lot of her floof, which it would not be normally seen on a ghoul. Our explanation is because she's a glowing ghoul, she loses her coat as quickly as she regenerates it. Let's see, he went with candy gore instead of like actual like blood and guts gore. It's glowing bright green, so it's not as off-putting as other ghouls we've created for this production. Like if you look at the concept art for the character of El Dante on our DeviantArt, like or even the finalized title art for the storyteller, if you look at El Dante, he's actually like a pretty gross looking character, and he's more what you think of when you think of a ghoul. Must be a legendary ghoul. She's maybe she is. Maybe she has a star next to her name if you fight her in combat.
What did she drop then?
Shit. She would probably.
It's a legendary broom.
She would. Yeah, legendary broom. That's like a melee weapon now. She would probably drop a piece of armor that is. Oh, I know exactly what she would drop, because I've gotten this a few times in my actual Fallout 4 playthrough. It's actually called like Marty's shadowed. Or the initial drop is like Marty's shadowed combat right leg or something like that, And
Uh-oh.
it's a Back to the Future reference, because what it does is when you're low on health, it'll actually temporarily slow time, as if you're using jet or something. Which helped. I only encountered this once because I never get that low in health. But I was fighting a courser, and I'm like, why is time slowing? Oh yeah, I have that legendary piece of armor on. Let me quickly get some stim packs in here. But yeah, she'd probably either drop some kind of melee broom or walking cane or something. It would have to be a reference to something in cinema, because she is currently the lone denizen of a before the characters of Comic Sans, Chalkfee, and co. Moved into the ruins of Warner Mirror Studios and turned it into Nuclear Horseman Studios. She was living on a movie lot, so of course her drop would have to be something movie related. Long-winded as I may be, that's the answer.
Yeah, Fallout 4, as soon as I found these 2 pieces of armor for the legs, which I then in turn named them the Long Fall Boots.
Oh yeah,
I
realized you could rename armor. I'm like, but then I won't know what it is.
Well, I named it that because they were just called like what the type of armor they were, but they had an ability. There, you can find them in the game. It's basically you put both of them on and you take no fall damage.
That's cool.
But the way you
they're
get them, you have to glitch the
basically
game.
like the boots in Portal.
Yep, that's why I named them the Long Fall Boots.
But yes, like in my most recent playthrough of Fallout, which I don't think I mentioned it, but I beat it with the Railroad. This time, the first time I beat it with the Brotherhood because I wanted power armor. Turns out you actually get more power armor by going against the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
I have way too much power armor to know what to do with. I don't have enough materials to change it from the Brotherhood of Steel paint.
You should see how many power armors I have on my robot island.
Oh, I have a significant. I had in my first playthrough. I had like a maximum of I think like 18 or 19 full suits of power armor, 2 or 3 of which are XO1, most of which were the other types. But in my new game, I currently have like I think 8 or so full sets, and I have tons more, but I don't count them as full sets because they're still like either broken and can't be put on a frame, or don't have a frame in general to display on. So I don't count them, but I have like a whole bunch of ones from when I took down the Brotherhood.
Oh, you wanted to talk about Fallout 76. That just reminded me of another bone I pick with it. And that is the freaking storage weight. I found so many armors, and also that you can't use the armors if you're not a certain level. I found so many power armors I can't use, so I put them in my chest, and now my chest is way too full because I have all this power armor I can't use.
Yeah, that sucks. 76 rant. You missed earlier when we were talking about 76. Earlier in the stream, we discussed our issues with 76 and how it forces you into a hardcore mode. How you have to pay caps to fast travel unless you're going to Vault 76 or your camp. I'd understand costing caps to revive because I've played other games where that's a thing. But yeah, there's a lot of things I didn't like about 76. How apparently it does explain to you that you have a thirst meter, you have a hunger meter, food can spoil when you're leaving the vault. But I just wanted to get into the wasteland that I skipped all that part, and then it locks you out of the vault, so you can't go back and like redo the quote unquote tutorial section. I wish there were more NPCs that weren't robots. I mean, I know that that kind of defeats the purpose of the thing. Historically speaking, within the Fallout franchise, MMORPGs have not really done too well.
Oh yeah, I will say again with the freaking also you mentioned the robot NPCs, And what annoys me about it is they, they said there weren't going to be NPCs in the game, and then they have these robots here, so they don't show you that they're robots immediately. They give you the voice to make you think, oh, maybe they did put a human one in, and then they go, oh, nope, psych, it's a robot one. Like either they thought it was a funny joke, or they're literally just flipping the middle finger at the player.
And that's another thing we discussed earlier. The crosser. He's mentioned like he saw Brotherhood vertebrates flying around. Yeah. Bethesda was like, well, we didn't make the lore that says the Brotherhood didn't exist at this time, so we're gonna ignore that bit and include the Brotherhood.
Oh, and also Todd Howard. What gets me about like the whole like they were fans. They were fans of the original Fallout. They played them. They should know the lore.
Yeah, and it's like basically their mindset is like if it was before Fallout 3, we can fuck with the lore however we want, because they got the rights to it following starting with Fallout 3 when it became a first-person shooter instead of an isometric turn-based RPG. But I don't know. I mean, I still haven't played 1 and 2. I know there's a steep learning curve to play those well, and unfortunately I use Mac, so I can't play them because they're PC exclusive kind of things. And I don't have an emulator or a dual booting software to boot a PC operating system.
They're fun though.
But yeah, so Bethesda is like, because it was lore created by it before we acquired the rights. We're not gonna try to abide by it, which is ridiculous because they should know how passionate the Fallout fandom is towards the lore. Like most wikis, when you go to them, like there's a lot of inaccuracies. There's missing pages. You go to the Fallout wiki and everything is on point.
And you know what? I mean, as much as I wasn't too big of a fan of Fallout Tactics, but I would have loved if the second one was going to come out because it literally took place around the area where I live. It was going to take place in like the northern Florida.
Talking about Van Buren, the canceled Fallout 3.
No, the other canceled one, Fallout Tactics 2. It was going to take place in the northern Florida area, which is where I live, and I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome. My goodness, the wildlife would be the most horrifying thing in that game, because Florida wildlife is already a horror show.
It would probably be like, it would probably have a lot of enemies similar to the swamp folk from what was it? Not Far Harbor. The Fallout 3 one where you take a boat upriver or something. I forget the name of the DLC, but
yeah, I know the one you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But the gator claws, if I remember correctly, are the ideas of Fallout Tactics 2, which would make sense for Gator Claw to be in Florida because gators.
Yeah, they're the gator claws from Nuka World.
What if there was a place with all the zip of Nuka-Cola?
Also, so I was talking with someone about Fallout 4 and how, like, I was watching a video that explained why playing it a second time at points can feel like you're just going through the motions. Because compared to, like, Fallout 3 and even, like, New Vegas, it puts less, obviously in the grand scheme of the game, there wasn't much difference, but, the person I was discussing with it pointed out that, oh, you destroy a certain faction or two, and then you end up being, like, the biggest badass in the waste by the end of the game. There's the same thing in New Vegas and Fallout 4. In New Vegas, you destroy the Legion and you can destroy the Legion and the NCR and be in it for yourself, or even destroy House, and then you're destroying 3 factions. In Fallout 4, with most of the endings, you're destroying the Institute and one other faction, and becoming, like, the biggest badass in the Commonwealth kind of thing. It's very similar. I'm like, well, in New Vegas, it puts a little more emphasis on your choice. Like, certain quest lines could be completely canceled or continued because of what you choose to do, even right out of the gate. You can help Good Springs, or you can help the Powder Gangers. You help Good Springs, that's where the quest line ends. You help the Powder Gangers, I didn't even know this, there's actually a continual, like, Powder Ganger quest line where you can, like, join the Powder Gangers and take down, like, an unruly member of the gang, and there's, like, a whole, like, diverging quest lines. Fallout 4, you get to Concord, and the Raiders are already hostile. You have to kill them. You have to help the Minutemen. Even if you say, nah, I'm not going to help you, Preston, the game will still give you the quest, even if you say no.
Yeah, though
Even
like
if you don't go to Concord, just skip Concord, just continue with the rest of your meanderings about the wasteland. If you go to Vault 81 and get the quest to talk to the school class about your experiences out in the Commonwealth, it makes you tell the story of saving Preston from the museum, fighting a Deathclaw in power armor with a minigun, even if you didn't fucking do that in your playthrough.
That was not any forethought there on that one. But no, it's also lost a bit of its craziness because, like, I mean, they do wacky stuff still in 4. Like, there's a few wacky things you can do, a little weird, but nothing to the extent of the old games.
Yeah,
like especially in the really old Fallout, you could do, like, it could go from you seeing a whole, like, group of people just being wiped out by horrible things to going to a town and I still haven't gotten this power fist, but I wanted to get a power fist from a guy. You have to beat him at arm wrestling, and if you lose, you wake up the next day in his room, or it's a super mutant. You wake up the next day in his room with a ball gag in your inventory.
Okay then.
Yeah, just like really off the wall stuff. And also, I found the Monty Python bridge in Fallout 2.
Yeah, but so I was watching this video and this guy made one simple suggestion, adding just one more joinable faction that could have possibly made a bit more of a branching quest line and make like Fallout 4 better upon replay. And that is, when you get into Concord, instead of the raiders automatically being hostile to you, the leader, or like maybe one of his, maybe not the leaders per se, like maybe the leader could be the guy from the Forge or Tower Tom or one of the like raider groups that you can encounter in the Commonwealth. This lieutenant from the raider group approaches you, non-hostile like, and like asks you, hey, you want to join? And maybe through conversation you can join the raider faction, take down the Minutemen, and then find all the Institute stuff and get to the Institute with the raider faction, maybe working your way up the ranks, maybe eventually staging a successful coup and taking over the raider group, and then you dominate Diamond City, becoming its new mayor or whatever title you decide to go by, with Travis having like passive aggressive, like even in his timid pre-confidence man state, having some sort of passive aggressive comments in the radio about you, like him like secretly having pleas for help from the Minutemen if they're still out there and stuff like that. And that would have been cool. Or when you have that dialogue option in Concord, you decide you hate raiders from the onset and just shoot him before the dialogue even happens. Raiders become hostile. Game plays out exactly how it happened. And that was an interesting concept, because there really isn't a raider faction until you get to the Nuka World DLC. And even then, the only major consequences is Preston loses respect for you. He'll still follow you as the general of the Minutemen, but he's no longer a follower and won't talk to you to give you Radiant quests. That's it.
Yeah, I hated that they took out like the
morality.
karma.
Yeah, karma.
Yeah, there's no
karma,
more.
Or standing with different factions.
Because I remember used to, it's like, sometimes you want to be a good guy and help other things, but other times you just want to nuke a town and just have the consequences of that, actual consequences, and people being irritated with you because of what you did, not just, oh, I just did this thing and now now everything's still okay, just how it is.
Yeah, and like I don't know. There should and also if you played the game more than once, apparently certain characters don't spawn unless you like find out certain information. So you can't just go right to the Fort Hagen and take down Kellogg. You have to find out who Kellogg is before he even spawns in Fort Hagen.
That's pretty stupid.
You can't go to the glowing sea all the way to the rocky cave and talk to Virgil until you find out he exists.
Yeah, I remember in 3, I accidentally skipped most of the game because I was going on a vault hunt, finding all the vaults, and then I accidentally stumbled on the main character's dad, and I was like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Now we're at this.
You found you can like in Fallout 3, you could go straight to Vault 112, rescue your dad. Now you're in the final mission of the fucking game. And in New Vegas, you could go straight to New Vegas via Deathclaw Country and just talk to House, and then you're already like kind of in the end game there, or towards the end game. New Vegas had a bit more of a like, okay, which faction are you going to join? Do the faction quests leading up to the end game, but still.
See, I tried to be my own man in that, and I was wanting the one thing with New Vegas, as much as I love it, I was annoyed with the ending I got because like I was wanting my character to just to take over because that's what the whole plan I was going with. But no, he just leaves Yes Man in charge, and then everything crumbles. I'm like, I didn't want to leave Yes Man in charge. I wanted to be in charge. That's why I threw the NCR guy off with the dam.
Oh yeah, I with the mission to protect the president, I can never do that without him dying. There's like so many like nuanced like plots you have to uncover in a very short span of time, and I just never can find them.
New Vegas was fun though.
Yeah. Also in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, you have carte blanche to become a murder hobo and just gun down everybody you encounter, no matter what faction they're a part of, no matter what quests they give you. You can just kill pretty much everybody except for children and followers. Well, actually, in Fallout 3, you can even kill the people who are following you.
And you used to could kill the children too, and they would
in 1 and 2. But Bethesda has a thing against killing children. So
yeah, well, the thing was, I mean, and what irritates me, and this is the same thing. Like I'm playing Spyro right now, and it annoys me with this. If a thing is bad and it's showing it as bad, you don't have like they censor the guns in this that the villains like bad guys use. It's like they're bad guys. Yeah, they got guns. Why is that going to make kids want to do guns? They know it's the bad guy.
But, anyways, in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, you have carte blanche to become a murder hobo if you want. In Fallout 4, certain characters up until a certain point are marked as integral, and you can attack them. They can become hostile, but you get them to 0 health. They just kind of fall down on the ground for a couple minutes and then stand back up and start attacking you again.
Yeah, so it's like, let me ruin my progress.
It's like, let me kill Preston Garvey because I don't want to have to go help another goddamn settlement. They can solve their own problems.
Yeah, I tried to go kill Maxwell, and I was really irritated when the game wouldn't let me. Maxwell, whatever.
But like, no,
racist dude.
See, Maxon is killable only during the Red Glare quest. And like the Institute, then like Father is probably only Father is killable like the second you meet him. Like you can you can become an enemy of the Institute like that. You don't even have to bother with their quests.
But why would you shoot your son in the face?
Because you can. Anyways, I don't know. It's a good point. That's why I never do that. But you can. But like you first meet the Minutemen, you can't just kill Preston and take his loot and get out of there. You can't just go to the however, unless you've like officially joined the railroad, I think you can actually just wipe out the railroad. But like once you've joined them, they can only be killed during the Brotherhood or Institute quest to wipe them out. It's just ridiculous. Like, it marks these certain characters as important, but what if I want to go on a killing spree? I mean, I'm not going to. I'm not usually the one to be a murder hobo in these kind of games, but I'd still like the option, even if I'm never going to choose it.
I always would go for like a chaotic good. Usually, well, more neutral, but good-ish. Chaotic
Like,
good-ish. It's like, oh, hey, like, I'm trying to be nice and save the world, but if you're gonna be an asshole to me, I'm just gonna, kill you, your whole clan, and I'm gonna steal all your stuff.
like there's so many factions in the Commonwealth that it doesn't even give you an option to possibly join them. Like, it would be great if there was a Raider faction you could join,
Oh, and a gunner faction.
or maybe you could join the Gunners. It would probably be disliked by McCready, but being an ex-gunner himself, and the grown-up version of that snarky mayor from Little Lamplight.
Yeah.
Darn
I like
mungos.
him.
Anyways, get it? They call adults mungos in that game.
Yeah.
Anyways, like, well, it's like, or maybe the children of Adam are most commonly just like raiders, but with radiation. Like, you encounter the children of Adam, they're automatically hostile unless you go to the crater of Adam during the quest. They are not hostile unless you attack them. Or the place where the nukes are being held out in the glowing sea. There's another children of Adam that are only not hostile during the quest to go retrieve those nukes for the Brotherhood in I think Reprimed or something like that, whatever the quest is called. Or in Far Harbor, the children of Adam are not hostile to you upon first approach.
Okay, the Children of Adam thing, that part kind of confused me when I played this game, because Children of Adam was literally just this small cultish group that you see in 3.
The explanation being they've expanded beyond the Capital Wasteland.
But why are they evil now?
However, there's also an interesting minor detail. I watched a lot of videos, like the small details you might not have noticed, or eerie mysteries that you may have missed, or something like that. And one of them being that there might be something to the Children of Adam's beliefs, because a lot of times you'll find them in the most irradiated areas ever, and just barely suffering the minorest bits of radiation poisoning, or something like just living fine in the middle of the initial blast zone of the Boston area, or living just fine in a highly irradiated nuclear submarine dry dock. Like, there might be something to their beliefs. You pray to the Atom, and he will allow you to live in his light.
I just remembered one thing, though. One thing I was irritated with, well, not irritated, I was just annoyed because I realized for a while, I'm like, something doesn't feel right, and that's some of the grotesqueness of the old games, isn't there? Like, they took out the freaking centaurs, which were one of the most interesting, like, cool designs.
Oh yeah, cause there's an FEV thing where like the DNA of multiple creatures are just haphazardly shoved together into something that just looks like it's painful to be alive.
Yeah, and like in the original games, they were even like more disturbing. Like one of the heads was like a dog head. It really just looked like a bunch of stuff thrown into a vat, but like it was one of the cooler designs, and they just took it out because I guess they were too afraid for the casual crowd would be too grossed out by it or something.
And even your typical ghoul doesn't look that disgusting. Even the ones that are sentient. I mean.
Yeah. And though there are some other creatures though from the old games I would love to see.
I need to get another. My water ran out and my throat's getting dry.
But you ever seen what floaters look like?
No.
Floaters are basically plants of flesh that were in Fallout 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, those are the inspiration for the floating plants, taint plants from Fallout Equestria.
Yeah, they were gross, and they were great, but no one's ever used them again. And also the aliens were weird.
The Zedans, like, I like how they include the crash. Like you can either hear about a possible like crashed spaceship from Diamond City, or you can actually witness a falling star and that becomes the spaceship, or you can activate the tower, the radio tower near Oberland Station, and pick up the garbled radio transmission.
Well,
Fast travel back to Oberland Station, and then there's a wake of burning trees, and you can find the alien.
well, what's gotten me though is the aliens in the new games, ever since 3, have been like that classic gray alien look.
Yeah.
But like the old ones, which I can guess they were trying to avoid maybe some kind of issue with copyright, but they basically looked like the head of the alien from the Alien franchise with legs. That's what it was, and they called them Wendigos in 2 because they thought they were Wendigos.
Fun. Well, there are probably multiple aliens in the Fallout universe, but the most common being the Zedans, which I like how you can, when you in Nuka World, you can actually encounter like the Hebologist from Fallout 2, and you can encounter like an alien robot aliens that look exactly like the Zedans, which is kind of, and you even can get a legendary Star Blaster kind of weapon that is a legendary version of the one you can pick up in the main game from that crashed alien spaceship guy. But like, I like the alien weaponry that you can actually get during the Mothership Zeta DLC, like all like the different
cool
disintegration weapons and all that kind of stuff. And recently, I was looking through the Creation Club, and there actually is a Zedin workshop where you can actually get like a pistol and a sniper rifle and grenades based off Zedin technology.
Of course, they're selling.
But you have to fucking pay for it, and there's probably a quest involved too. Because I was browsing through the Creative Club, and it's like a unique set of power armor for like Captain Cosmos, but you can only get it through a quest. Like, that would be kind of cool, but I'm also not going to pay for that.
Yeah, what was I gonna say?
I'm probably gonna have to change the title of this. We're not really being festive and holiday themed in this episode.
Well,
I'm losing my voice.
I'm trying to think of a way to
shouting,
change.
and my voice is getting. I need to get something to drink. Need some water.
I was just happy when I ran through 2, having to fight the aliens in New Vegas, because I'll tell you, in the older games, it was so hard to hit stuff that I ended up just going with strength builds and punching everything as the Fist of Justice.
Oh yeah, in New Vegas, you can encounter aliens with the Wild Wastelander perk.
Yeah, New Vegas, once I found the Paladin's Toaster, I just started punching everything. It was shock fist.
Like, so basically, like, the only weapon mods you can do to the gun you get from like the alien is you can make it so it can take a more common ammo type. You can give it a scope. You can give it a slightly longer barrel and a better grip. But then there's a paid DLC where you can actually have like long range weapons based on alien technology, grenades based on alien technology.
Actually, in one, I wouldn't go as far as saying compliment, more of saying like a half compliment maybe for 76. They actually do put in, not only do they put in the blaster, but they give you a thing so you can make more ammo for it, which is great. Problem is, the blaster though, you have to be like level 30 to use it.
Yeah, that's another thing that I understand in things like Borderlands, where that was the game mechanic from the get-go, but like in Fallout, you should be able to use any weapon from the get-go. And because they changed the way that power armor functions in Fallout 4, they should have continued that in Fallout 76, where you can just hop in it without any training.
Yeah. Well, see, it made sense in 4 only for one reason. Because your character, well, I mean, it makes sense that you could send your friends into it, but your character was ex-military.
Only if you play the guy. Only if you play the guy. The girl is the lawyer.
Okay, that makes no sense. But if you play the guy, you can make an excuse for it. but still.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny with the last voyage of the USS Constitution side quest. If you're the guy, and the robot will search the military database and actually find you. Which, fun fact, you're part of the same company that the people from the Mothership Zeta DLC were from.
Oh yeah, they got invaded. Yeah, they got abducted.
Yeah. Anyways, and so that's why he recruits you to help with the USS Constitution. But if you're playing as the girl, the robot still finds your husband and then says, "Oh well, because you're his spouse or whatever, we're gonna conscript you as well." It's like,
sure, that's how it works.
You could have given them both military backgrounds if you really fucking wanted to.
Yeah, it's like that's how it works when you're on a military base, and they like, oh, your fiance or your significant other works here.
Stop shouting.
So your significant other works here. Why don't you come help us out? Yes, that's exactly how it works.
Yep. Also, like another thing I was talking with someone about yesterday in Fallout 4, I feel like there should have been an Enclave remnant, like the remnants. Even if they were like all the raid, like basically another raider faction, but they'd be like kind of a more advanced raider faction, not counting the Brotherhood of Steel, which can be viewed as kind of technological raiders. But like maybe like one small encampment in some military base in the Commonwealth, where like there would be like Enclave Remnant, like that would be their name, it's Enclave Remnant or something like that. Where like the last little bit of true-blooded Enclave members, and you wipe them out, and then you finally killed off all the Enclave or something. The only reference to the Enclave is if you talk to Confessor Cromwell in Far Harbor, he's ex-Enclave.
Yeah, and like the ex-Enclave stuff, or the Enclave remnants in New Vegas were so much fun because you could go up to them, and like you could go the whole game without ever knowing they're in there. But
wait,
if you
there's
do the
Enclave
quest,
in New Vegas? I actually did not know that.
Oh yeah, the Enclave remnants.
I honestly didn't know they existed.
Yeah, you remember the dude with the followers of the apocalypse that you can get?
Oh, Arcade Gannon?
Yeah, he is the son of, I don't know if he was on the base himself, but he was the son of an Enclave member. And you can do a mission with him where you go and find all the 5 remnants of the Enclave that are in New Vegas, and you can have them help you in the final mission.
Holy shit, I never got Gannon's companion quest.
Oh yeah, I think there's a certain thing that will make it stop. Like if you do a certain mission, you won't be able to do it anymore. But even with that mission that online it said that I shouldn't be able to do it, I was still able to. You can do it a lot quicker if your character's gay because Ganon's gay, and you can hit on him, and then you can do it quicker.
In New Vegas, I always play as the female character because you can get the Black Widow perk, and then you can seduce and then kill Benny.
Oh yeah.
It's the only reason I do that. The same options are probably available if you like the Lady Killer perk, but I've never tried it, so I don't know. So I always go with the girl and get the Black Widow.
Yeah, see, one idea I had back when I was writing that fanfiction was to incorporate some of the stupid things I did in New Vegas into it. Like the fact that with Caesar, at one point I was just like, well, I'm irritated with you now. So I literally walked into his tent, shot him like point blank with a rocket launcher.
How did you conceal that? They take away all your weapons.
Well, how did I get through that? I don't remember.
Maybe you increased your sneak to the point where you could conceal a large weapon like that, or
I don't know. I just remember
maybe you blasted your way through the entire camp or something.
I don't think I did that. I think I blasted my way to escape, but I just remember somehow ending up in the tent with the rocket launcher and just being like, "Well, time for you to die."
Okie dokie then.
I also learned that if you let Benny go, they don't take mercy very nicely in that group.
The first time I played New Vegas, I kept Benny alive to the point where I kill him in Caesar's camp, but then from any other playthrough after that, I've always killed him when I encounter him in his casino.
Oh yeah.
It's also really fun to get to. I always play New Vegas again with like a 9 or 10 luck, and then just get kicked out of all the casinos.
Oh yeah, I've been kicked out of those a few times. My one that annoys me that they keep messing up with the mission somehow was the White Glove Society.
Yeah, that one's difficult. You find out they're still cannibals or.
Well,
something.
my character's usually a cannibal, but like it will just randomly mess up or options that should be there won't be there because I mean that game was kind of glitchy.
Yeah. Speaking of a better Fallout game than Fallout 76 and even Fallout 4, have you seen the trailer for Outer Worlds?
Oh yeah, I've seen a few things.
Brought to you by the company that much by the original creator of Fallout and the company behind Fallout New Vegas. Throwing shade.
Yep.
Shade.
It's because everyone wants them to be making Fallout, but they don't have a good relation with Bethesda.
Outer Worlds looks like Borderlands and Fallout New Vegas had a baby.
That does sound fun. But New Vegas was used to 3 used to be my favorite. Then I played the old games and then New Vegas because there's a lot of New Vegas feels more like a sequel to the old games than 3 does.
Yeah, I mean, so Chalkfee never came back.
I think there's something about it in the podcast planning thing. And also, I sent you a picture of the plush in there.
I saw it.
It's cute, tiny and small. But like New Vegas, some of the stuff, the continuity stuff I like is that, I mean, technically, if you didn't do it in 2, you could just say it's just the guy's grandkid, but you literally hear about your character's grandkid in New Vegas.
Fun.
Yeah, a little fun. Oh, and also, one of those Enclave remnants mentions one of the funniest things from Fallout 2, which is getting chewed out by the Enclave drill sergeant. And he remembers when you got chewed out, and he will tell you about it.
Fun.
Also, I learned if an Enclave drill sergeant tells you, put armor on, if I see you one more time without it, I'm going to kill you, they mean it.
Jesus fucking Christ, man. Wow. Sorry. I swear like a sailor sometimes.
It's fine. That's how most people talk nowadays.
Yep. Except for when I'm at work. When I'm at work, I have to like censor myself. Like, oh fudge, son of a businesswoman.
Son of a businesswoman.
Son of a biscuit.
I usually just say great day at work when I'm getting irritated. Apparently, I talk like an old person sometimes, especially at work.
I'll go like, hi, how you doing today? It's like, good, how are you? Oh, I'm fantastic. Some people actually pick up on the sarcasm of the word fantastic.
Oh yeah, I usually, when people ask me how I am, I'm like, just another fun day at Walmart.
Like, oh, I'm just fantastic. It's like, oh, really? It's like, yep. Although more recently, I've also thrown in the line, it'll be a Christmas miracle if I actually mean it. I'm fantastic. It'll be a Christmas miracle if I actually meant that statement.
They're police in the distance.
Well, I mean, I'm running out of things to talk about. Since we don't have a current episode out, we've talked about Megaspell, we've talked about Fallout 76, we've talked about Fallout 4 at length,
We've talked about religion.
We've mentioned religion. We've mentioned politics. We've had one fantastic person in the audience commenting stuff to lead us through conversations or comment on what we're talking about, but
I've been wanting to read what he's saying, but all I can still see on my screen is the definition of pagan.
Refresh your page.
I can't. The mouse doesn't even move anymore.
Oh no, yeah, you're frozen. Well, have fun being in the call by yourself when I'm left.
As soon as we're done with this, I'm just gonna power off the computer.
Okay, Article 13. I guess we could mention that. I mean, none of us are in the UK, and I believe the only person who might be affected within the context of Nuclear Horseman Studios would probably be Stable 2 Stallion. He's the orchestral musician. I think I don't know where he is, but I know he's like our only international person. I think he's from Germany. Maybe it's some other area. I haven't really heard him talk much to actually know what his accent is. I should probably ask. Like, where are you
Seems
from?
like all the great composers are coming out of Germany.
But yeah, so the only person who might be affected by Article 13 is probably him, maybe. I know Starry Flame is from Australia, so she shouldn't have an issue with that. But yes, it sucks. They are on from the out like in theory what they're doing, it makes sense. Protect the rights of the creators and the people who own the rights of whatever the creators create. But the way the law is worded is
it starts destroying freedom of speech.
Yeah, to the point where there's no concept of fair use. Because in the UK, it wasn't even called fair use. It was like another term that sounds similar, but lacks like half of the works that are counted.
It just seems like eventually it's going to get to the point where Disney and other big companies are going to decide what we can and can't say.
Like, basically, if I don't even know if it passed yet. I think they're still in their final fixing of like the wording of the law. But like, if it actually comes to pass, like YouTube is just going to have to not exist in the UK, or everyone's going to get VPNs and say they're from the United States. That might also happen.
Or the bad thing, which may also happen, is YouTube and all those other companies will try to change everything so that they can still keep the UK in.
A lot of fear around Article 13 is companies tend to the big internet companies tend to lean towards the strictest rules, barring the strictest rules don't violate like human rights or privacy, and even then. But anyways, because like obviously they're not gonna go with to the extremes of like I think during like the Arab Spring, there's some governments want like an internet shutdown button. Obviously they're not gonna go to that extreme, but like if the UK, which is one of the big powers of the world currently, passes this law and Google, Facebook, YouTube still want to exist in the UK, they might have to cater to their really archaic version of copyright, which already they had to. They are the privacy policies. There's an update a year in the past year to all the privacy policies on all the various sites because the UK passed a new privacy law and they were trying to adhere to that. So if the world goes towards the the most strict copyright laws, it'll be the UK. And also, if it does end up fully passing in the UK, the United States are gonna go, so people don't mind if we take away their rights to fair use. Okay, let's try this in the United States.
Yeah. It's eventually all the countries are just gonna fall, and then we'll have to start over, which probably won't be within the next. I mean, probably something that's going to happen in the next 50 years or so.
That's a depressing outlook. Anyways, I think that's it. I'm losing my voice. We're out of topics to discuss. I'm not 100%.
Great to end on a depressing note.
I'm not 100% well versed in like what in all the facets of Article 13, so I can't really accurately discuss it. All I'm doing right now is parroting what I heard in like Matt Pat's video and other videos on the subject. It's like I'm not truly well informed, so I can't discuss it very much further than that. Unless we want to discuss for another 2 hours about things they could add to Fallout 4 to make it better, or things they did wrong with Fallout 76 aside from creating the game.
I mean, if we want to end this on a happier note, we can always think of this. When times are rough, at least cheese is delicious.
I'm lactose intolerant.
That's depressing.
On that note,
beef jerky. Beef jerky is delicious.
On that note, goodbye, everyone. Thank you for showing up to this haphazard, slapdash, poorly planned holiday podcast. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and such.